Ali, I think one of the issues that puzzles a lot of people is how the Pakistani military has managed to improve their relationship with the Trump administration, especially after a number of statements made by Donald Trump about his potential return to Afghanistan and retaking of the Bagram Air Base. These matters are perceived in Afghanistan as causes for maybe potential new escalation of conflict with the United States, and that the current tension with Pakistan may be connected with that. Could you explain, is this a plausible theory? Is there any truth to this?
Sangar, first, thank you for having me again. Appreciate your work, the work that you're doing. This is a very difficult and tense time in Pakistan-Afghanistan relations. And as you mentioned, there have been casualties on the Pakistani side and the Afghan side as well. To understand Trump's fascination, his support for the Pakistani military leadership, specifically for his, quote, most favorite field marshal, we have to go back to the end of 2024. In fact, right before the elections in November 2024, there was a massive push by the Pakistani American community, and specifically by members of something called Pak and different other groups. There are about 18 different Pakistani American groups that are working in some capacity to work towards bettering Pakistan and American relations. One of the sticking points over the past three years between the US and Pakistan, especially for the Pakistani American community, has been the mistreatment and the incarceration of former Prime Minister Imran Khan. Imran Khan's incarceration has been such a big mark, or has left such an indelible mark on the Pakistani American community, that from 2022, late in 2022, Pakistani Americans started to lobby on behalf of the community and on behalf of Imran Khan to get him released from military prison. And he was incarcerated in 2023, in August 2023, and then a process started in the US whereby Pakistani Americans, which were previously not as franchised politically, started lobbying efforts. They started putting money. They started approaching their representatives across the US, from Michigan to Texas to New York to California, in trying to convince their representatives, Democrats and Republicans, to do more to free Imran Khan and to do more to address human rights violations in Pakistan. Pakistan has been under a de facto military rule of sorts since April of 2022, when Imran Khan's government was removed in a vote of no confidence that a lot of people blamed on American acquiescence and American backing, specifically a cipher or a memo that was sent from the Pakistan embassy in Washington, D.C. to the Foreign Office, which was then used by Imran Khan and his political group as evidence of American involvement in political decision-making in Pakistan through the Pakistan military establishment and the army chief at that stage, General Qamar Bajwa. The vote of no confidence happened in April. Imran Khan's government was removed. A new government was installed as PDM-1 with Shahbaz Sharif as the head. And that has continued in some form or the other up until this day, even though there was a caretaker setup that came in. And during that caretaker setup, Imran Khan was incarcerated and allegations surfaced that the military was behind all of this. Now, it's been over 2 years since Imran Khan's incarceration. Nobody has seen him. Except his lawyers, his family, and so on and so forth. He's been kept completely isolated. His rights have been violated, according to his family. And in the Pakistani American community, that has created a sort of extreme frustration and a desire to right the wrongs. So the Pakistani Americans then, as I mentioned, going back to the point, start to address this by approaching their own lawmakers. And in this effort, they also approach Donald Trump, who is seen at that time as an anti-establishment figure. Donald Trump and Imran Khan have parallels in the sense that Trump was also targeted by the Biden administration through lawfare and the alleged establishment. And this is something that Trump repeats himself as well. So the Pakistani Americans say that we have found an individual that will carry on our issues, our sentiments, and correct the wrongs that the Biden administration and the American establishment have been doing in Pakistan by using the Pakistan military as a proxy. In all of this, there's also the Ukraine war or Russia's invasion of Ukraine that happens in February of 2022. And Imran Khan was the prime minister then. He goes to Russia on the day of the invasion of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which also hits the Americans in the wrong way. And then the cipher thing happens and so on and so forth. That's also a very important element to the story. Because as the Pakistani Americans are lobbying the Trump or lobbying the American Biden administration and later on the Trump administration, the Pakistanis or the Pakistan military starts supplying ammunition and specifically artillery shells to the Americans for the conflict in Ukraine. And obviously, a lot of evidence comes out. You have videos of Pakistani artillery shells, 120 to 150 being used in the battlefield on the front lines by Ukrainian soldiers. And Pakistan obviously has a large supply. The Americans are depleting their supply. The Europeans are running low on their supplies. So Pakistan starts pushing artillery shells into the mix for the American supply line to fight against the Russians in Ukraine. That creates a parallel, or that creates a channel which was already there, but it reinvigorates a channel between the Pakistanis and the American military establishment. That Pakistan is a reliable source of weapons and ammunition for wars that America is invested in and is interested in. While all of this is going on, you have the specter of Trump still as an anti-establishment figure and on his way to what proved to be his success against Kamala Harris. And around this time, the Pakistani American community and Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, Imran Khan's political group, its American chapter, start meeting with people close to or engaging with people in the Trump administration, including Lara Trump, who allegedly or is said to have said to these individuals that Trump is even willing to tweet in support of Imran Khan, who says that he will do everything. People like Richard Grenell, who is considered very close to Trump, his former envoy to Germany, and at that stage, a prospective candidate for even the Secretary of State. We're talking about September, October of 2024 now. Just a month or couple of months before the American elections. So there's a lot of momentum, there's a lot of movement, and there's a lot of push. And Grenell then tweets Free Imran Khan in response to a report that Geo News runs, which basically says that homosexual, Hamjinsi, Richard Grenell, or something along those lines, it kind of attacks Richard Grenell's sexual preferences. He is gay, and he's quite open about it. But the military establishment uses Pakistani media to target him that way. And in response, he tweets, "Free Imran Khan." That one particular tweet sends alarm bells ringing in the Pakistan military establishment. And when Trump is elected, and then for his inauguration in January, they dispatch the brother-in-law of Pakistan's military dictator, General Asim Munir, Mohsin Naqvi, who is the current interior minister and the head of the cricket board as well, the Pakistan Cricket Board. They send him to the US to start engaging with members of the Trump administration or in his inner circle. A result of that is the visit of Jeffrey Beach or Mr. Beach, who is close to Donald Trump Jr., was his best friend, his best mate at his wedding. He comes to Pakistan for a recce, makes a lot of promises, goes back. Then they engage with, through someone called Bilal bin Amir, or Bilal bin Umar, a Pakistani guy, British, MBE. They engage with Steve Witkoff's son, Jared Witkoff, And Jared Witkoff is involved with the Global Cryptocurrency Foundation. And then they visit Pakistan. And during this visit, they're also talking about minerals exports. So the Pakistani military establishment in earnest starts engaging with the Trump administration with something that they know that they can offer, which includes access to or opening up Pakistan's cryptocurrency scene, creating a Pakistan Crypto Council. And then Witkoff's son,
If I may, at what point was there the latest things that I've heard is that former ambassador to Japan, Rahm Emanuel, has made some allegations about lobbying by the Pakistani military. At what point was that exactly in the timeline of the things that you just have discussed?
Rahm Emanuel did make an allegation, an assertion, which fits into parts of the timeline, but it's very difficult to verify something that Rahm Emanuel says. He himself is a very slippery and not so trustworthy character. He was part of the Obama administration. His father, in fact, was involved with Israeli IDF as a senior commander, and so on and so forth. But going back to the timeline itself, it's difficult to ascertain what was happening when, but we know that all of these things were happening between November and Feb, March, into the Trump administration, 2 months into the Trump administration. A significant moment happens in May. All the groundwork has been laid. The contacts have been made. Things have been offered. But in May of this year, you have the India-Pakistan, you want to call it a 4-day skirmish, you want to call it what? And that basically tilts the things, because then the Trump administration, which is at that point in very difficult negotiations with the Indians over coming up with a trade deal and dealing with these tariffs, basically those talks kind of go sideways because the Indians are unwilling to open up the agriculture market to American investment and American investors. Donald Trump sees that conflict, Operation Sindoor, as India calls it, and what happened during it, the 4-day skirmish, where Pakistan claims to have downed Indian fighter jets, at least 7 Rafale fighter jets. And then Trump uses that instance and basically mediates in it and says that both sides asked me to mediate and I mediated. Both sides have a different version. The Pakistanis say yes, he mediated and we want to nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. So the Pakistani establishment, it keeps offering him with incentives from cryptocurrency to minerals to the Nobel Peace Prize, and also aggrandizing the role of Donald Trump and the US in intervention and diplomacy specifically for this purpose. Soon after, you have a visit of the Pakistan military ruler, General Asim Munir, to the United States, where he is invited, just him and his deputy, you can call him, the DG ISI intelligence chief, General Asim Malik, and Mohsen Naqvi as well. But there's a bit of confusion if he was part of the luncheon full time or not. But there was a luncheon that goes on for up to 2 hours. And after that, it seems that Trump endorses General Asim Munir as his favorite field marshal. That wasn't the first meeting that they have. Another meeting is held, this time with Shahbaz Sharif, months later, after the UNGA summit, in which Shahbaz Sharif again repeats that Donald Trump is a great mediator, he's a peacemaker, and he was the one that ended the war with India. Otherwise, there would have been a nuclear holocaust. These are the words that Shahbaz Sharif said at the UNGA. And then at the meeting at the White House, where Shahbaz Sharif is joined by Trump's favorite field marshal, General Asim Munir, Pakistan Army Chief. And then you have these pictures that come out of the general pointing to rare gems and stones, holding a box. And from there on, other reports starting emerging from the Financial Times, for example, which state that not only did Pakistan offer mineral excavation and special, precious stones and gems for the US, but it also offered a port in Pasni, about 70 miles away from Gwadar, which has Chinese investment, influence, and infrastructure. A port was offered to the Americans on the sidelines of these meetings, not directly by General Asim Munir, by his advisors, according to the Financial Times, that they can invest in a port, create a port, run a port for their own mineral excavation. The Pakistanis deny this and say that nothing of the sort happened. But a lot has happened, as we can see. And now the Pakistanis allegedly have agreed on a lot of things, allegedly. And obviously, none of this is officially confirmed. There's talk of recognizing Israel as part of the Abraham Accords, complete denial by the Pakistanis. But a meeting was held, not attended by General Asim Munir, but a meeting was held around the UNGA as well, where Shahbaz Sharif, the Pakistani Prime Minister, along with 7 other leaders from the Muslim world, including Erdogan, including the Indonesian president, have met with Trump, agreed to his 20-point plan or agenda on the Gaza peace deal. Before Trump announced the Gaza peace deal with Netanyahu on his side, the Pakistani Prime Minister tweets about it, that we completely support it. There's a backlash because the points that are revealed are not the same as the points that the Pakistanis say that they agreed to. And then there's this back and forth. The Pakistanis backtrack from their earlier statements. And we know what happened in Sharm el-Sheikh, where this deal is signed and Shahbaz Sharif is standing behind Trump. And then Trump says, my favorite field marshal, he's not here, but the prime minister is here. He didn't use the word puppet, but you can understand what his sentiments were. And then Shahbaz Sharif comes and gives Trump a very public, very visual, very, some would say, vulgar endorsement. And
They call that glazing.
Glazing. You used the word, I didn't use it. I would say it was an endorsement. It was something that left a lot of Pakistanis ashamed and hanging their heads in shame. But this is something that was repeated and has been repeated by Donald Trump since. So what did the Americans get? The Americans got the endorsement of the only nuclear power in the Muslim world. The Americans got the only field marshal that holds any rank in the world right now of the field marshal. Maybe some other people as well. I don't know. You can look it up. And the Americans got offered mines, minerals, crypto, port, and what is extremely significant, possibly, but not confirmed, and a lot of people will deny it, an endorsement for recognizing Israel if the Saudis do it, and so on and so forth. During this time, also, it's very important to remember the Pakistanis signed a defense pact with the Saudis. The Saudis have also signed a defense pact now with the Americans. It seems the Pakistanis were engaged in war with India, a war of words since then, since Trump's intervention. And the Pakistanis have also been engaged in a war or limited war or skirmishes with the Afghan Taliban in Afghanistan. Also, a few weeks ago, Trump demanded or said that we're talking with the Afghan Taliban to get Bagram air base back. And also, Trump threatened consequences. Very bad things will happen if the Afghan Taliban do not agree with handing over, giving Bagram air base back to the Americans. And in the weeks since, we have seen Pakistani soldiers being killed. To be fair, dozens of Pakistani soldiers have been killed in alleged Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan or TTP, Pakistani Taliban attacks. And then the Pakistanis have launched alleged airstrikes on Kabul, Paktika, and so on and so forth. And this is a story that you have been following for some time, and we spoke about it as well. I hope that clarifies parts of things.